Welcome to Hello Kind Soul Podcast, where we raise the vibration of kindness on a global scale. I'm Dr. Ebony Green, your host, and I'm super excited to be with you today. If you want to follow us on all major platforms, look us up at Hello Kind Soul Podcast. And if you want to follow me, look me up at E Green Equity. I hope you enjoy the episode. Have a great day. Welcome to Hello Kind Soul Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ebony Green. I am in Milton, New York at Sankofa Healing Community, and we have awesome guests with us today. I'm super excited. This is Amoy and Gina. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Gina, want to go first?
Sure. I'm ex-military. I am a massage therapist, an herbalist, Reiki master practitioner. It's the list of things, right? Mother, wife, that sort of thing. And I've been doing this work for maybe about 20 years altogether. So this is kind of like a culmination of all of those things. And I've been able to bring sort of all of the things that I've been gathering along the way. I'm a lifelong learner, and this has been a learning journey, and I can't wait to continue to learn.
Awesome.
My name is Amoy Virgo. I'm a registered nurse for about 22 years. I'm a mom to 4 boys, and I'm a loctician and owner of the Lock Artistry by AV. Really just have always wanted to approach my work from a total person health and wellness standpoint. And so this gave us the opportunity to partner with Gina and sort of start to bring this whole idea to fruition. And so just really honored to be able to bring life to this and offer our communities ways of just taking care of themselves and connecting with others.
That's awesome. So you are the co-owners of this beautiful space. And so tell us, how did this come to fruition? How was this born? How did you manifest this?
I would say that when I left corporate healthcare, it was because I just felt empty. I just felt like the work wasn't intangibly rewarding. And so I needed a way to really touch people in a way that there was impact, right? And so I opened up a lock salon. And
she's amazing, y'all.
She really is.
And I realized that these connections, I really only see one client at a time. And these connections, it was just so intimate and so pure and so powerful, right? And it really was both ways. And I felt like there's more here that can be done, right? And I've always felt strongly like the loctician piece, the lock salon, really is just the vehicle, but the resulting impact is what I'm really here for. And so Sankofa was born out of that need to expand on this and really start carving out this concept of community, because we need safe spaces and we need spaces where the armor doesn't need to be shrouded. And we can kind of put that to the side and just connect with our people and go back to the ways that we've always healed ourselves and taken care of ourselves. Just those simple foundational concepts.
So then you two got together.
Yes.
And birthed this space. And so the interesting piece, as I said before, the name of it is Sankofa Healing Wellness Community. Gina, tell me why, and Amoy, you can dovetail after she chats. What is this idea of community as opposed to center? Because at first I thought the name was center, right? And so tell me the difference and the intentionality around that.
So the community portion of that is because we are looking to bring in community members to help facilitate things that are part of their genius, right? We really want to get this as an interactive space, not just a space where you come and you're like, oh, okay, I dance with this person, I see this person, I pay this money, right, to be part of a space. What we're looking for is for people to really step up and bring the things that they value and enjoy to the space so that we can showcase what we have in our community. So, and that's that it has all fallen into place because of that, because we've opened the space up to allow other facilitators like Bo and like Tony, who are our dance facilitators. And people have just, oh, I do this, I do that. Wonderful. Let's do a workshop. Wonderful. Let's bring you in and see what you have to offer and what you have to teach.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because part of, I think, the beauty of it is this idea of community, right? And so the other day, it's not what I came up with. It said commune and unity, and how when you come into these spaces, people get to show up and be their self. So you had said without the armor. Tell me more about what that means.
Well, I feel like as people of color, we have to walk around with the shield, right? Where out in the wild, I'll say.
Touche.
you have to walk around with this level of protection around you, so that, you know, you are just creating your own safe space. You're insulating yourself, right, against like all these things in society that are not serving us as people of color. And so I feel like I just remember when I was younger and just in my home environment, it was always like multi-generations, right? And it was always like the older person was the person who held like this massive amount of wisdom and healing. And that's the person that you would go to. But there was safety there. There was warmth there. There was, I don't have to worry about certain things, right? And you step outside of your home and immediately there are certain things that you have to worry about. So it really is, even the fact that we're in a house as opposed to a business setting was intentional, because you come in, you feel the warmth. You come in, you feel like someone just gave you a hug. So we kind of really have been very intentional about making sure that, you know, people feel that safe space, that they can be vulnerable here, that they can be real, that they can connect, and that it's going both ways, because I'm getting as much from our clientele and the people who we serve as they are, I'm sure. And Gina, you know, same thing.
I love that. And I love that, like when you were speaking about the paying of, right? And so I know I've chatted with you both before, and part of what you had spoken to was like, it's not about making money. And we live in a very capitalistic society, right? We prioritize profits over people. And it seems as if you very intentionally prioritize people over profits. And so talk to me and talk to our audience about what is the intentionality of being mindful that the things you offer, yes, they cost, but the goal is to give people more around their heart, their healing, what they need.
I think, if I may, the way that I've structured my massage business has always been, I don't want you to need me. The whole point of you receiving a massage from me is that you're going to leave with things to heal yourself and a routine structure so that you can live your life in the best way. I don't want you to come to me every week. That's the whole point, is for you to live a life well. I'm here to rejuvenate you, to fix you a little bit, set you on the right path, and to get you off into the world so that you can move around and be free. I don't want, and health is $1 billion industry, right?
100%.
And that really...
And not really healing people.
No, it's not really healing people. And it really has been my focus as a healing practitioner. And that's, you know, really it's settled on Sankofa as a community that we're not here to get money from you. We're here to give you things so that you can weather the life that we are having right now, and to reclaim some of the things that we've lost, that we've left behind as a way to sort of integrate into modern society. And they're kind of not as useful as we thought that they would be. So we're reclaiming some of those things that we left behind, like the preparation of food, the kind of spices that you use, the kind of movements that we do. That is all intentional in the creation of this space and community. And we're not looking to make money. If we make it in the process, wonderful. But the idea is that we need to heal. Like, our community needs healing and needs space where that's safe to do so.
I love the idea of like asking people to come in to share their gifts with other members of the community. And it's so interesting because when you think about like the foundation of much of the Black and Brown experience is rooted in community. Like resistance was rooted in community. Joy was rooted in community. Protest, like all of the things that make us us, right? The learning, the growing together, the telling the stories, the storytelling, all of that stuff is rooted in having a strong foundation. And so I'm wondering, like, how do you help other folks out there understand the gift that is Sankofa? Like how is it word of mouth? Is it, I mean, this podcast is going to go out and people will know, but like a lot of people come here for different services. And then you offer all these amazing opportunities for people to come in community in the evening times. So how do you what are you looking for in terms of the practitioners and less about, we get they have to have skills, but what does their heart posture need to be in this space, to show up, to even be a part of the community? What's the heart posture folks need to have?
Well, I think one of the most important things that we are looking for is passion, right? And also just understanding the mission here and the vision. And that really is to serve our people, right? And when I say our people, it's not necessarily just Black and Brown people. It's humans who really see themselves as human beings first. And so then you can relate to other like-minded humans, right? But this is something that I truly felt activated to do this work. And I don't think I could have, I tried to move away from this and go in another direction, really only to end up right back here, right? So I couldn't have done anything different if I wanted to, right? So if you feel that level of, you know what, I've been given these gifts for something. I've been given this talent for a reason. I've been given this knowledge for a reason. And I really feel this sense that I need to share this. I need to be a part of the solution. I need to heal others. I need to help to bring us together. Those are our folks. Money will always come. And just because you have tons of money doesn't mean that you're wealthy. And it doesn't mean that you're secure, right? Because I feel like whenever you have tons of money, you also have tons of things to spend that money on, right? They're proportionate. Right. And so I have never felt more financially secure than I am earning probably a fifth less than I was when I walked away from corporate healthcare. So we need people who are sharing in that passion and understanding that we're not here to make a profit, so you don't need to have the dance class be $50 because you know that people will pay it, right? It needs to be something that is allows people to have access, and that's it. Eggs are like $7, so we don't want to compete. No.
And you shouldn't have to pay for, you shouldn't have to pay an arm and a leg for movement,
No.
for joy,
Right.
for, communal experiences. There's been such a move to extract third spaces, right? And so really we are hoping to bring that back, the idea of third spaces, that you're not having to pay a tenth of your earnings or whatever it is in order to participate
Preach.
and be accepted. So that's why, many of our events, if you look on our page, they're free.
Yeah.
Because we want to share knowledge.
They do have, y'all, just so you know, I probably won't participate, but they do have like a hiking one. In my mind, I feel like it's a great idea. I don't know if my body will follow, depends on how far the hike is, but I do know people who have done it, I think last year, who loved it. And I do see, like, you have the dancing, you have just a bunch of opportunities for people to show up. And I've always noted that the interesting way the cost is, it's like investment or contribution, right? Because, it made me really think about, we have privatized and profited on everything people do, even the simple free stuff like water, right? Yes. Like people are literally paying $3 for a bottle of water, and water's supposed to be free. Mm-hmm. And I find myself sometimes getting lost in a delusion, right? Because it's like, well, I'm going to just charge this, and I'm going to charge that. And I love this idea, like, let's go back to what is the genesis of what we want to do and how much is enough,
right? Yes.
Right? How do we create spaces for people to be able to show up, do their thing, get some movement, be in community with some dope folks, and not have to break the bank when everything is expensive. So I appreciate y'all really thinking about that intentionally and saying, for some people, your donation is giving your time, right? But you're giving your time to restore a community of people who are healers, who are out here in the world doing epic stuff. And so just thinking about how rich the community can be, to your point about money, like money isn't necessarily the money, right? It's the richness of it comes into the experiences, which then become cathartic, yes. Right? And so all of the services and the programs you have here are around wellness and health. I want to say it's probably one of the pieces of your life work, but how did you get to the place where you were like, this is it. This is this thing I'm going to do. Like, because a lot of times you'll hear it, it's nagging. And then we're like, I don't think I'm supposed to really do it. And then it gets louder, right? And so how did you get to this place of realizing like, oh, no. We really need to do this. Like this is my calling in this season. Like, how do you stay true to that?
For me, a lot of this was, or all of it is really what I need. Right? So it comes really naturally then for the creation of this. It's because it really is fulfilling an inherent need, and not an inherent need as just from an individual standpoint, but from a woman, from a mother, from a professional, from so many other standpoints here, right? It's just understanding that it's really freaking hard to navigate in this culture, in this time. Mm-hmm. And so we need support, and then being surrounded by amazing people. Met Gina like a year ago. And I do believe that, like, I know it sounds, what is that term? I always get these terms wrong, but anyway.
It was serendipitous.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, these things happen truly for a reason, because I met Gina about a year ago, and here we are running a business together, but it really was a spiritual connection. Mm-hmm. And it was such a complete alignment in terms of our philosophy, in terms of, she has such a wide variety of skill sets. It's not even funny. I think her resume probably would be about 5 pages easily. And I'm still learning about all the things that she does, And so it's like peeling back this onion, right? And understanding that I'm always in awe that we're even doing this, because we didn't have a plan. And we came into this, and it's just like from December 23rd to today, none of this was planned out. Mm. And the things have just come. The people have come. The house has come. Mm-hmm. So that is clarity for me and confirmation that, listen, you're in alignment. You're doing what's supposed to be done because we haven't had to work hard for any of this. You know?
Man, how do y'all stay grounded? This is an insane world we're living in. So one of the things we always try to capture is like, what are the things that keep your heart well, right? Like how do you stay, because you're busy, you're doing a bunch of stuff. You have a bunch of roles you play. So what do you do for you to stay as well as you can?
For me personally, it's a gratitude practice in the morning. You know, like you have to wake up and recognize that despite where we are in the world and how challenging it is, and it is, like that's not a falsehood, but if you can stay focused on the things that are just make your heart really big. And that doesn't have to be anything that's like, oh, I get to get up and do this thing or that thing. Because some days I'm getting up and I'm like, man, this dog woke me up at 5 o'clock to go pee. Right? So but because she's got a cute little face, I got to be thankful that she's there. You know, it's just that little minute of not being so upset about this portion of that doesn't feel good and being grateful about this other portion that does feel good, and then really like stepping into movement. We're also such seasonal beings, right? So your practice doesn't have to be the same throughout every single season, because that's part of who we are as human beings. Like, we are adapting to the sun and to our ability to be out in nature and how we move through the world. Your body slows down when it's cold because we have fascia that is liquid when we're in movement, and it's a solid when we're not in movement. And it becomes more solid based on temperature, our body temperature specifically, right? So that practice shifts. Maybe in the wintertime you're stretching and you're not running because your body feels different. So that's, it's just also recognizing like you're not going to be in the same space every day all the time.
And if you are, you shouldn't be.
Right. You should be adapting to your life as it shifts.
I love that you make the distinction between, like, when you say waking up in gratitude. I think sometimes, like, I remember someone texting me and they were like, "You're always so happy." I was like, "What do you mean?" They were like, "Well, all your posts or your stories." And I was like, that's just a story. Like, those are for people who need to be lifted up. But I, my friend, have the roller coaster life. Like, one day I'm great, the next day I'm exhausted, another day I'm mad, right? So making the distinction that because I wake up in gratitude doesn't take away pain, doesn't take away being tired, doesn't take away the work, doesn't take away the stress. It's just you're grateful that your dog did wake you up and annoy you. And she's adorable, right? And so for people watching y'all, I know sometimes people tend to think that if you're grounded or if you're seeking joy, that somehow our problems aren't real problems. Like, we have real problems too. It's just we do our best to stay grounded so we can still get stuff done, right? And for you?
For me, I feel like it's a decision, not a circumstance. And so I try to make sure that I'm looking at things through really honest lenses, but understanding really what needs to happen in any situation and focusing in on, what do I want to feel like, or how am I feeling, right? I think our worldview really is super powerful, and it really can help us to navigate a lot of different situations. So it's being grateful in the moments that are super hard to be grateful, right? And understanding that your mind is so powerful that it really is about how you're thinking about things and less about what is happening.
How you're thinking about things and less about what's happening? Wow, that's powerful. I just had to take a moment. Like, I just had to learn for a minute, like, wait a minute, that was really good. If you hear me say that, y'all know that she said it. Like, I'm just saying. But I guess I'm also curious. So I've been saying lately a lot, joy is an act of resistance, right? What do you do for joy? And how do you remind folks, because I've been here before multiple times. And one of the things I think I'm always reminded is that, like, you also remind people to seek joy when they're in your presence. So what do you do for joy? And why do you think it's important to remind others to continue to seek it in the times that we're living in right now?
We're on a hamster wheel here. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times that makes you really mechanical and machine-like in your operations, right? And so you forget to be present and to think about yourself as a living, breathing human, not a machine, not someone who's just task-oriented, who's going through the day. Okay, I got to get up. I got to go to work. I got to do this. I got to do that. But where did you stop and just breathed, right? So joy for me is in between clients, sitting out on that deck for a few minutes, even if it's in my coat. I love the water and I love fresh air. Joy is when I bring my youngest son, who has a sweet tooth, a lollipop from the store, because they had those little things on the counter, and I see the smile on his face. Joy is in the simple things. It's in the really granular, small things, because the huge overt things, those things come easily, right? Those are the things that are most obvious. But for me, joy lives in the really narrow spaces. So, yeah.
And you?
Oh, wow. I feel like our people are going to celebrate anyway, right? Like no matter what is happening, we're going to find a way to be excited about something. Even if you're just, someone is giving you their good news and celebrating with them as if it's your good news, because you will get there. You're going to have some good news to share. So reminding myself that like no other person's accomplishments diminish anything that I'm doing in my world, and being excited about what they're doing means great. We are collectively moving forward. And when I see, like we're living in a world that is pretty challenging. Like it just is, right? It's easy to focus on the things that are easy to focus on and get you all out of sorts. But what is equally as easy is to be like, all right, I'm going to breathe in for 4, hold it for 4, right? Breathe out for 4. That's equally as easy. And to recalibrate yourself and reset yourself. For me personally, I do like being outside, not in the wintertime, but in the spring and right. I don't bump with the cold. I don't have it in me. It's, I'm not built for it. But in the spring, the summer, and the fall, nature is just such a gorgeous, she's like a gorgeous mistress, and I love to see her bloom in the spring, and I love to see what she has to offer in the summer. Forging is like one of my passions, and I also use it as a way to sort of create new things that I'm doing with oils and teas and things like that. So it's kind of like a little giddy passion where I'm like, what do you got today, babe? What do we have today? Let's see what we can do with that. And those are just the times and spaces that I'm able to find just a little bit more joy. So the winter is a little challenging, but we have other things to celebrate, and it can be just as simple as breath.
There's a meme I read that said, joy is something we choose every day. What do you think about that?
I think it's very true. I think everything is a decision. I was talking to my oldest son a couple of days ago, and I said, oh, have a good day at work. He was heading out. He said, we'll see. I said, no, honey, you choose to have a good day. Right? And I used to be that person who hoped. And I was always miserable, but I was very anxious. Because if one thing threw me off, it was a wrap. It was over. Yeah. And once I shifted to, oh, this is a decision, you get thrown off all the time. Right. So expect it and then fix it and move forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we have this question we ask everybody on the podcast. I'm gonna wait to ask it. to the last question. But I think one thing, it's interesting, we're talking, and I feel like in this world right now, there's a glaring empty space around kindness and compassion and empathy. Almost so much so is that when you do see it, you're like, is that real? Like, is it AI? Right? Because what do you think people need to do to start to take this opportunity to heal seriously? Because I genuinely believe that hurt people. And so as much as most people who know me think I'm really nice, I am. And I had to go through some stuff to get to this side, to really understand that I never want to cause harm, like do no harm at all, right? What do you think people need to do? Or what's the connection to healing? Like, how do you get people to take this opportunity seriously to say, the more you love you, the more you can love others. And I think most people believe the more you love others, it means you're loving you. And that's not true. So I'm not even sure the question I'm trying to get to, but like, how do we normalize healing as an essential part of living? Which is essentially what you're doing, but how do you get other people to value that? Because we come from communities where it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and therapy's a scam, and whatever it is, right? So how do we reteach people that this is actually the real version of who you are, what you come from, and not the manufactured version that people see on social media or on TV? That was really long, my bad.
No, it was good.
No, it's fine. And I think you have a few questions in there, but I think what I would say is, you have to be the best, highest version of yourself first. This isn't something that you can package and sell to people, right? So you really have to walk the talk. And a lot of times when people see you as this person who got it all together, they don't recognize your humanity. And so a lot of times when, clients will go through a process of booking, blah, blah, blah. And so they see that version of Amoy, right? Or their perception. Then they get in the chair and they realize that, oh, she got some shit too. Can I say that? Can I say shit?
Yeah.
Okay. We curse here. Then they're like, oh, well, how did you get here? Mm-hmm. Because who I thought I saw and who showed up today, they're the same person. Mm-hmm. So how did you get here, right? So you have to become everything or unbecome everything that you thought you were to become who you're truly supposed to be. Mm. And it really is about creating space for that ego death. Mm. Doesn't mean that your ego doesn't play a role, because it protects you sometimes, right? But you have to understand where your ego begins and ends. And you got to keep it in check. Mm-hmm. And it's balance. Everything is rooted in balance. So I think I would say start chipping away at what this world and the people around you are telling you that you are. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
That is huge. She's talking about a process that took me a decade, like.
Me too.
As if it's just, you just gotta do it. And you do. One of the things that really supported me in being a little bit better version of myself is starting to do some history work around who I was, who my father was, who my grandmother was, those things, so that I could really come from a place that I was much more rooted. I'm a biracial person, right? So, and I grew up in a largely white community, and that informs you in a very different way than growing up in a largely African-American community. So it took such a long time for me to go, okay, are these my things? Or are these other people's things? Are these things that I want to keep, or do I not want to keep them? And it really is an unlearning of all of these things, and then a relearning of the things that are actually yours, right? Because when you start to examine your own behaviors and you recognize oh, this is some ancestral shit that I've been doing that I hadn't recognized was ancestral until I started learning my own history, right? Or until I started examining other parts of who I was and saying, oh, that comes from this person, that comes from this person, that comes from this person in my own line. And it is a process, but it allows you to love those things about you, right? Because now you're loving on your ancestors, and now you're loving on the people who you want to emulate their strength and their resilience. And you're not sort of holding all of this energy around what is put on you that doesn't really belong to you.
Yeah, it's definitely a peeling of the onion. And I love that both you said, like, it's also realizing what's yours and what's not. Because once you start to peel, you're like, wait a minute, this is not my stuff. And I like that, so, right? But you don't even realize you can choose until you start to wake up. Right. All right, so we're coming up on time. So one, I want to say, y'all, you should come visit this place. It is in Milton, New York. Yeah. Check out the website at
sankofacommunity.com.
It's a whole vibe, y'all. And our last question, which is always one of my favorite questions to ask. What does it mean to be a kind soul?
It's to give yourself grace first.
That part.
Because I feel like whatever you are internalizing, you're also pushing that back out, right? So if I'm super judgy with myself, I'm not giving myself grace, I'm not loving myself, you're going to impose that onto others too, you know? So I think we have to be a kind soul. I think we have to be honest. We have to be able to observe ourselves without judgment. We have to be able to understand who we truly are, because we are multidimensional. We're not any one thing. And if you are to be true and operate with integrity, then knowledge of who this person is, I think, is where this all begins, you know?
Thank you. You?
Wow, that's an interesting question, right? And I think what it looks like is behaving in a way that is your highest form of self, even when nobody's looking. Like holding yourself to a standard of integrity, even though no one is going to see you at all. And you're never going to tell the story about it. And it just is what it is. And when you do that, you get to do that in spaces where people will eventually observe you, and then they can model.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I want to add one question that I didn't have 10 minutes ago. Sorry, y'all. You guys got cameras here looking at you. Someone is struggling in this world right now. What can you tell them that would help them?
You just put us on the...
Yeah.
Okay. That you have it in you to heal yourself, that you have everything you need to survive whatever it is you're going through. And that some of the hardest situations and lessons really are to strengthen or build or show you something in you that otherwise you may not be able to tap into.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm coming from a space where I remember a time when my son and I had $20 a week to feed ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I would literally go out in the woods and forage for food. And so that developed into a passion, right? Because it was like, oh, everything that I need is actually right here. And you have a well that is deeper. What you've hit is something that's dry, but if you can just reach a little bit deeper, you're going to hit water again. And you do actually have it. And now I don't live in the space where I have $20 a week to feed myself and my son. And there's always also like ask for help. That is also okay, right? Even while you're digging that well for water, ask for a little help.
Man, I am so grateful that you let us into your space, into your home to talk with you today. Folks, if you ever get a chance to come here, do come here. They do absolutely create a space where it's literally like Well, as you know, I say a hug from your grandma. So if you want to be in a place where you can be you, tear down the walls of being disingenuous or performing for others, you can actually come here to be authentic. I hope you have an amazing day, kind soul. Take care.